History has had thousands of heroes. Today, perhaps none are more iconic than the Batman. Debuting in the pages of Detective Comics in 1939, the Dark Knight Detective has continued to resonate with our society decade after decade. Why, though? What makes the Caped Crusader so enduring? Sure, he's undeniably cool.
Batman to all points. I could use some air support, since I can't fly at all. Now would be good.
He has the exquisite suit, the fast car, the sophisticated gadgets, the enviable man cave, and gets all the ladies. But that doesn't make him a great paragon. Some fans are quick to note that he has no superpowers. This should make him human and relatable, they say.
You really should be resting. I know this must be hard for you, feeling vulnerable. You're the only one of us without special powers. But you don't need to prove yourself. You're a valued member of this team, and we're only trying to...
I'm taking the shuttle. Unless you want to try and stop me.
Others say it is instead his mastery of so many disciplines that makes him something we can strive to achieve. But it's not abilities or lack thereof that make or break a hero. How does a mere mortal stand shoulder to shoulder with literal gods?
The Hellspores. They've been activated.
Impossible. The arming code is encrypted.
I broke the code and reprogrammed them.
You're bluffing.
Omega Lambda 7 XL9. That sounds like a bluff to you? One Hellspore can turn an entire planet into a fire pit. What'll happen to Apocalypse when 500 go off simultaneously?
You dare? You dare? I could destroy you with a single blast of my Omega beams.
You could. But that wouldn't stop the Hellspores, would it?
Since everyone on YouTube has already analyzed the Nolan trilogy and its best film, Batman Begins, and have thoroughly dissected this hero psychologically, literarily, and philosophically, I wanted to share more about the masked manhunter I grew up admiring, the one from comics and animation. This is what I've learned from and about the Batman, and why he's the best. A hero is only as good as his villain and supporting cast. Batman's villains constitute the best rogues gallery in fiction. His fights are awesome, but it's his moral struggles and ethical dilemmas that fascinate us. The Riddler, Poison Ivy, Scarecrow, Ra's al Ghul, Bane. They're also good not because they outclass him, but because they challenge his values. Fist fights against superior odds are cool, but ideological battles are what make us respect and side with a character. Take Ra's, for example. The Demon's Head is a sophisticated man of culture with knowledge and resources that exceed Batman's. He deduced Batman's secret identity but doesn't expose it due to his own personal code of honor. In fact, he refers to Batman as the detective because of his respect for Bruce's intellect and wants him to marry his daughter, Talia, and be his heir. Ra's himself has an honorable mission: to create a world with perfect environmental balance. Very relevant given how big of an issue global warming is. How do you solve the environmental challenges our planet faces? Well, according to Ra's, you have to eliminate most of humanity. So despite Batman and his daughter having a child, despite Batman respecting Ra's, and despite Batman agreeing that something needs to be done about climate change, Batman has to draw the line against his father-in-law's draconian measures. That's the layered conflict that makes Ra's al Ghul one of the Bat's greatest antagonists. Batman operates under the following assumption: criminals are a cowardly, superstitious lot. He must strike fear into their hearts. That's why Dr. Jonathan Crane, the Scarecrow, is such a good foil. Bruce is scared and wrought with guilt about his parents' death, and channels that fear into terrifying criminals. The whole test of his motif, of his symbol, is going up against the master of creating fear and phobia. Can Batman truly conquer fear? That's an internal conflict, something that we can all resonate with. Dr. Victor Fries is another tragic story. A cryogenics expert. His wife fell victim to a terminal illness. A laboratory mishap while attempting to cure her drastically lowered his body temperature to sub-zero levels, forcing him to wear a cryogenic suit in order to survive. Fries's main goal remains finding a cure for his wife, and it is his methods to do so that put him in conflict with the Dark Knight. Batman's villains represent in a lot of ways the true darkness that he too can succumb to. Almost all of his rogues gallery had troubled childhoods like him, sometimes even worse. All it takes is one bad day, as the Joker says. Batman sees the worst of humanity and yet has the empathy to attempt to reform them.
There's one thing I gotta know. Why'd you stay with me all day, risking your butt for someone who's never given you anything but trouble?
I know what it's like to try and rebuild a life. I had a bad day too, once.
Despite having insurmountable odds stacked against him, Batman has a staunch reputation as a loner and a terrible teammate.
Hey, that was my bad guy.
Happy? Call me when it's important, and not before.
Believe it or not though, Bruce Wayne perhaps has one of the best support systems in comics. Jim Gordon, Lucius Fox, Alfred Pennyworth, Catwoman, the Robins.
I can't do it. I can't stop them.
No, you can't. Not on your own, but it's high time you realize that you are a man, not an island. And a man's strength comes not from just brawn and intelligence, but also from his allies.
They're in a lot of ways the most important part of Batman, not falling into the abyss. They keep him a hero, even when it's difficult.
I want you to break your code, but for something I actually did.
Batman, don't! I'm warning you, Batman. Let him go! Do not make me do this! Not over him! I won't let you throw your life away! Gotham needs Batman.
Commissioner Jim Gordon, someone the Joker has hurt so much, is the one here reminding Batman not to cross the line. Even though Batman makes it bloody difficult, the people that know him care deeply about him, and these complex interactions with his supporting cast add so much nuance. Batman may care, but he just doesn't know how to show it. He needs help and support, but he'll never ask for it. But perhaps the most important relationship of all, the driving force for Batman, are his parents. Bruce, at the end of the day, is an 8-year-old boy who doesn't want the same horror he experienced to befall anyone else. He has to make sense of the cruel world. This brings us to suffering and how to channel it. Batman's villains inflict a heavy toll on him. He is marked by loss. His war on crime has resulted in numerous casualties. His second protege, Robin, is brutally beaten to death by the Joker. Batgirl, the daughter of his closest ally, Jim Gordon, is paralyzed and assaulted by the Joker. He loses his best friend, Harvey Dent, when his face is scarred by the mob. And most recently, Bane snaps the neck of his loyal butler and father figure, Alfred. Batman endures and pushes through. Even when he gets moments to reconsider his vendetta, he knows deep down inside it won't change a thing.
I don't want to let you down, honest, but it just doesn't hurt so bad anymore. You can understand that, can't you? Look, I can give money to the city, they can hire more cops, let someone else take the risk, but it's different now.
We want Bruce to be happy, but we know the war he's chosen is never ending. He'll never be able to move past his parents' deaths and is committed to making sure that never happens to anyone else. That's more important to him than his happiness, and it's what makes many of his stories heartbreaking. Batman channels his suffering into an indomitable will. He uses his pain and rage and guilt to become something more. Focusing and redirecting all that direction is what makes Batman, Batman. He embodies that it's okay to lose. It's not okay to quit, though. He's comfortable being alone. In fact, the best Batman stories are when he's stripped of everything with just his mind and body to win the day. And internally, he's battling the light and the darkness within him. Here's a panel of him fighting against his arch nemesis, Bane. And he's talking about how many times criminals have said that he's done for. And yep, he's heard it all the time, and he's still here. In the comic storyline Nightfall, Batman says this: "All men have limits. They learn what they are and learn not to exceed them. I ignore mine." He eventually gets his back broken by Bane in this storyline. The sad thing is, this character trait, this unbreakable discipline and motivation that we all aspire to be, it'll be the end of the Dark Knight. Batman won't retire. He can't. His mind won't let him. He'll die fighting crime. And it can just be some lucky punk with a gun. But that brings us to perhaps the most important point. Even after being broken down, isolated, and defeated, Batman knows ultimately what he stands for. His code. Despite having the most disturbing and disturbed psychopaths out to harm him and his beloved city, Batman refuses to kill. Gotham would certainly be better off without these criminals. He, however, realizes we all have monsters buried deep inside us, and that all it takes is one bad day to change someone forever. He won't cross the line, no matter the cost. Batman operates outside of the law, yes, which is why he needs a moral code, to rein in his monster. He can never be the thing that took his parents away from him. Even after the Joker cripples Batgirl, this is how Batman chooses to deal with him, bringing him in by the book.
I don't know what it was that bent your life out of shape, but maybe I've been there too. Maybe we could work together. I could rehabilitate you. You don't need to be alone. We don't have to kill each other. Let me help you.
When his protege, Robin, pleads with him to kill the Joker, Batman cannot.
It's too hard to cross that line.
No! God almighty, no! It'd be too damned easy. All I've ever wanted to do is kill him. A day doesn't go by when I don't think about subjecting him to every horrendous torture he's dealt out to others, and then end him.
Aw, so you do think about me.
But if I do that, if I allow myself to go down into that place, I'll never come back.
This is the defining character moment. He can kill. He wants to, but he won't. In comics, it's very common to have multiple universes where alternate incarnations of a character can arise. The Justice League encounter their counterparts in the Crisis on Two Earths film. At the very end, it comes down to a battle between Bats and his dark mirror image for the fate of the universe. It shows how evil and nihilistic someone like Batman can turn out to be if the circumstances were slightly different. This version is not at all different from the lunatics at Arkham Asylum.
If we're really alike, you know this is wrong. You must have been a good man once.
No, not good. Never good. After all, I'm only human. No more debate. I'm going to kill you now, then everyone else.
There is a difference between you and me. We both looked into the abyss. But when it looked back at us, you blinked.
This is why a heroic code is key to his character and identity. The Dark Knight walks a fine line between criminality and vigilantism, and irrespective of the law, he has to stay firm to his morals. Having a code doesn't just mean you do what everyone thinks is the right thing. A winning mindset means thinking how others can't or won't. Before he took up the cape and cowl, Bruce was traveling across the world, learning every discipline applicable to crime fighting. He'd take classes at Princeton that interested him, train with ninjas in Japan, and learn escape artistry from magicians. Always learning. In many ways, Batman is the ultimate student, which suits him well as the world's greatest detective. He never underestimates anything. In the Justice League, whenever Batman was present, he was usually their key to success because he thought differently. For example, when an android copies all of the powers of the Justice League, it's Batman who finds a chink in the program.
You don't have any powers. I have this. It's a package deal. You get our strengths, but you also get our weaknesses.
When the League turns themselves in to prove their innocence, Batman refuses to turn himself in and goes out to solve the framing on his own.
Until it's been proven that we aren't responsible for the tragedy in New Mexico, the founding members are turning ourselves in to U.S. custody.
What?
Absolutely not. That's insane.
No, you can't do that. Now.
You can't. No, don't do it.
Cooperate fully with the investigation. Give them whatever they ask for.
But Clark, Superman.
Hold the fort, Kara. We're counting on you. All of you.
You want me to what?
Turn yourself over into U.S. custody, along with the rest of us.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Meet us at the coordinates I'm sending first. We should all go over together.
This is the single dumbest plan I've ever heard. If you're feeling guilty, clear your own name. Don't stand on the sidelines waiting for somebody else to do it.
Most importantly, past all the grand schemes and brilliant strategies, he never hesitates to do what is right, especially if it's the ultimate sacrifice.
You're standing in it.
Wait, you mean we're gonna
take the watchtower out of orbit and drop it right on top of their little science project? Get them to the escape pods.
Is that the last of them?
Yeah, the tower's completely pest-free.
Good.
Hey!
What are you doing?
I can't risk having the watchtower burn up on re-entry. I'll have to guide it in manually. Gentlemen, it's been an honor.
He doesn't need powers. He just does the right thing, even if it doesn't have wide approval. This is why, despite having no powers, he's one of the most essential members of the Justice League.
The main reason I called this session, in light of the breach of trust revealed to us during the Vandal Savage matter, we have to decide whether Batman should be allowed to remain in the League. All those in favor of—
Wait. Before we vote, I think the accused should be allowed a few words in his defense.
Seconded. Okay. Batman?
My actions don't require any defense. In the same situation, I do it again.
Oh, come on!
As individuals, and even more so as a group, the Justice League is far too dangerous to lack a failsafe against any possible misuse of our power.
We use our power to protect the world. We always have.
And what if we ever used it for some other purpose? If you people can't see the potential danger of an out-of-control Justice League, I don't need to wait for a vote. I don't belong here.
Batman's constantly at battle with himself and is always struggling to make the right choice, always trying to find Bushido, the way of the warrior. He's constantly tested. When he does achieve victory, we're all impressed. He doesn't just punch nukes into outer space. Bullets don't bounce off his chest. He can't save everyone. We can all try to be Batman, though. He's a reminder of our own mortality. In the end, all it takes is some punk with a gun to get lucky. Batman is deeply flawed. He's paranoid. He's obsessed. He's angry. Every night he faces his demons. Yes, he has money and skills. But the best Batman stories don't focus on that. They focus on his numerous losses, the decisions he's forced to make, and how he wrestles with his own humanity. That's why we admire him. Because he's human, very much so in his mind and emotion. In this panel from Batman War on Crime, the Dark Knight confronts a young boy who's lost his family due to gang violence. And the boy is aiming his gun at Batman. And they both come from two different worlds. One from wealth, one from poverty. But instead of fighting him, Batman talks to him and gives him what he needs. A path to some kind of a future. This is the hero that we all admire. Batman doesn't represent the ideal of humanity. He represents the real of humanity. Struggle, failure, loss, acceptance, dedication, triumph. And that's why Batman continues to resonate decade after decade.
When she goes, the psychic backlash could kill everyone in range of her powers. That's a distance measured in miles. Take her down before she takes everyone with her.
I'll do it, Shayera. I'm the only one of us Ace knows. She might let me get close enough to use it.
Do you understand what you're agreeing to? The only way to stop Ace for certain is to kill her.
Batman,
Ace.
did you like playing with my new Royal Flush gang?
Can't say that I did.
Yeah, they aren't any fun at all. I gave them their powers and they still hardly ever play with me.
Can't imagine why.
When I was little, Cadmus used to make me play all kinds of games, but they weren't any fun either. They'd strap me into their machines and poke wires into my brain. Ace, can you move this object with your mind? Yeah, I can move it. They weren't really games, you know. They were training me, turning me into a weapon for justice, they said. They got their weapon. I got cheated out of my childhood.
I know what that's like.
You do, don't you? You don't have to answer. I read your mind. That's how I knew you weren't going to use Mrs. Waller's weapon on me.
No, I wasn't.
You were going to try and talk me into fixing what I've changed. Before I die.
Yes.
I'm dying very soon.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Could you stay with me? I'm scared.